Giving honor to God, our Creator, our Redeemer, and our Provider. We love the Lord our God with all our heart, with all our soul, and with all our strength. And we love our neighbors as ourselves as we give honor to our spiritual guides, to Jesus the Christ, to our illuminated Supreme Mother, Mildred Davis Miller, to His Holiness of Blessed Memory, Master Malvin Davis, to our Supreme Father, Marshall L. Davis, and to our Supreme Mother, Aletha Rovina Davis Drake. To all the officers and board members and members of the Spiritual Guidance Temple of Truth, to all our family, friends, and loved ones, to the people of all nations, to all living creatures and all material manifestations, and to this congregation at large, I greet you with Shalom, Hotep, peace abide. We'll begin our service with a reading from the Psalm 27. The Lord is my light and my salvation. Whom shall I fear? The Lord is the stronghold of my life. Of whom shall I be afraid? When the wicked advance against me to devour me, it is my enemies and my foes who will stumble and fall. Though an army besiege me, my heart will not fear. The war break out against me, even then I will be confident. One thing I ask of the Lord, this only do I seek, that I may dwell in the house of the Lord all the days of my life, to gaze on the beauty of the Lord, and to seek him in his temple. From the day of trouble, he will hide me safe in his dwelling. He shall hide me in a shelter of his sacred tent, and shall set me high upon a rock. Then my head will be exalted above the enemies who surround me. His sacred tent I will sacrifice with shouts of joy. I will sing and make music to the Lord. Hear my voice when I call, Lord. Be merciful to me and answer me. My heart says to you, seek his face. Your face, Lord, I will seek. Do not hide your face from me. Do not turn your servant away in anger. You have been my helper. Do not reject me or forsake me, God of my salvation. Though my father and mother forsake me, the Lord will receive me. Teach me your way, Lord. Lead me on the straight path because of my oppressors. Do not turn me over to the desire of my foes. For false witnesses rise up against me, shouting malicious accusations. I remain confident of this. I will see the goodness of the Lord in the land of the living. Wait for the Lord and be strong and take heart. Wait, I say, on the Lord. I've read the 27th Psalm in the name of God the Father, God the Son, and God the Blessed Mother. Amen, amen, amen. We'll now rise and repeat the Lord's Prayer in unison, please. Our Father, which art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done in earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our debts as we forgive our debtors. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, the power, and the glory, forever and ever. Amen, amen, amen. Thanks be to God for his gifts of riches. Thanks be to God for his gifts of joy. Thanks be to God for his gifts of health. Thanks be to God. Thanks be to God. Thanks be to God. And now we'll have our meditation. Please sit up erect. This meditation comes from a book of affirmations by our Supreme Father Marshall Davis, and this one is called Seed Faith. Seed Faith. Repeat after me. May I be conscious that planted within my spirit, soul being, and mind are the seeds of divine life. In the fertile field of my soul, they shall proliferate and bear fruit of my spiritual faculties. Multiply my spiritual understanding, and renew my vitality and youthfulness. Empower me to conquer my adversaries and have dominion over my composite being. Give me guidance and the direction needed to cause these seated principles of perfecting power to become a spiritual, beautiful garden where angels love to dwell. Amen, amen, amen. And now our song is Where He Leads Me. I think most of you know the song is Where He Leads Me, I Will Follow. So let's sing the song Where He Leads Me. I think there's a brief introduction in this piano solo but before it starts, but here it goes. I can hear my Savior calling. I can hear my Savior calling. I can hear my Savior calling. Take thy cross and follow, follow. Where he leads me, I will follow. Where he leads me, I will follow. Where he leads me, I will follow. I'll go with him all the way. It ends our song. That ends our devotion. And now we come to our lesson. In the lesson, we are called today the two types of faith, intellectual and heartfelt steadfastness. And this comes from a message for December for the temple that we received from our Supreme Father, Marshall Davis. And it states there are two kinds of faith. Faith that is of the intellectual mind of an individual, and faith that is of the heart. And with these two types of faith, this is not an either-or situation. As we talk through this lesson, we'll find out that we all must develop both these types of faith. And when I was looking at this, one of the things I was looking at is in the Hebrew word, there is a word for faith that is the masculine principle, and there's a word or a masculine noun, and there's a word for faith that is a feminine noun. Now, the word for faith can also be used to make to say truth. So it's like the same. Both words can either be translated as faith or they can be translated as truth. In the masculine sense, and this is in Strong's Concordance, this is word number 539. The masculine form of the word is amen. Amen is the word for faith. Notice that it ends with an N, amen. And amen can mean assurance. It can mean to believe. It can mean to bring up, to establish, steadfast. And as a primary root, it means to build up or support, to foster like a parent or a nurse. So it means that something is rendered, but it still means to be firm, to trust, and to believe, and be permanent or quiet. So this one is talking about, from the masculine sense, it means something that you can build up upon. So it's almost like a learning process. I kind of compare this in the lessons to it talking about that intelligence within you, intelligence you learn. There's a faith that can be a process that you learn, and it grows, as you can grow it and nurture it and make it more stronger and stronger because you're building upon it, building brick upon it from this masculine use of the word faith, which is aman, aman with an N. But then there's another Hebrew word that's faith that's very similar, and this one is called emet. And emet is a feminine noun. Ends with a T, not an N. They're actually, when you look at them in the Hebrew alphabet, both of them start with an aleph min. One has a N at the end of it, and the other one has a TH, and it's called emet. And this can mean assuredly, something that is established, faithful, right, sure, true, virtual. And it means stability, certainly truth, a trustworthiness. And this, to me, is when it's talking about that heartfelt faith. There's a faith that you can have that's not that you are building upon it, but there's a faith that you have that's what? It's like a sure rock inside of you, something that you have at all times, something that just becomes a part of you. There are some people that you can see that they are people of faith, that they have that faith, and it's like an unshakable faith within them that they have. And that I see as this feminine form of the word faith or truth, which is emet. So we have these two words. One is aman, which has the same Hebrew letters, aleph and mem with an N on it. And the other one, which is emet, which is aleph, mem, and then has a T or a TH sound at the end. So in the Hebrew language, again, they have masculine and feminine nouns. And for the word faith, they have a masculine form of it and a feminine form of it. And I do this so we can remember that when we're talking about these two types of faith today, that we're talking about the two types of faith that should work together and be together, just like the masculine and feminine work together. So remember, one is aman, the other one is emet, but both of them are both the word faith and the word truth. So now we get to our lesson. A lot of times when we have these lessons on the what you call them, won't take us long. And I know some of you were with us this morning when we're having our prayer service. We thank you so much for being with us this morning. We're not going to keep you long. And I know some of you also like to attend the service that's done by the Divine Life Temple, which is the temple in Miami run by our Supreme Father. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to read this message. It's only one screen, so I'll read that screen. We'll talk about it, and we can go about our day, hopefully feeling the truth has been further established on this day. So here is the message I'm reading for the month of December. There are two kinds of faith. Faith that is of the intellectual mind of an individual, and faith that is of the heart. Faith of the intellect is inspirational and lifts the mind to esteem the higher aspects of God, the soul, and then enables one to perceive divinity in things, circumstances, and all that exist. When operating from faith of the heart, one derives boldness of spirit, courage, and an inner assurance. Faith from the heart arises compassion, promotes firmness, and makes one resolute, gives peace, and fosters love. Both aspects of faith give birth to your decrees, affirmations, and prayers. Both aspects require work. Without work, faith is dead. Both aspects must be conjoined for you to bring forth results. You will become a conduit for the higher wisdom and compassion to manifest in the earthly realm by applying both aspects of faith. Faith is divine knowledge and spiritual intuitiveness, giving certainty to the mind and heart. The two aspects of faith are likened to a holy marriage that brings forth numerous offsprings. It is likened to the tree of life rooted in the rich soil of heaven that brings forth the 12 manner of fruits in its season. Having complete faith of the mind, knowledge based on truth, and having faith of the heart, love, compassion, and empathy with divinity and individuals. Read the 27th Psalm, burn purple candles. So, this is our lesson here that's telling us about these two types of faith and the importance that when you get both of them working for you, that is the miracle worker. That's when the faith starts to have results. Just like it's saying, it needs to be a holy marriage of the faith of the things that you have learned and intellectually understand, and that faith that is that deep seated feeling of compassion within your heart. The two, it says, must work together. So remember, it says there's an intellectual faith. That's the mind. The mind is like the calculating. It's like that part of you that figures things out and works on it. And sometimes with things of faith, you got to try to figure it out. You got to try to calculate it. You got to try to wonder how it fits in. And that's one type of faith. But remember, we're not saying this one is more important than the other. It says that there is that type of faith, of intellectual, that kind of have to lift your mind. So that means sometimes when you're in life situations, to express faith, you got to start lifting your mind. You got to start lifting your mind from the things that are holding you back. You got to start lifting your mind from the things that you think are insurmountable troubles. You have to use your mind to do what? To work on it and work at it to say, I can get out of this. I can work out of this. God has given me the resources I need to do what? To work this out. So there's a part of your faith that has to be an assurance in you that you can figure out the next step, that next step will be presented to you. And so that's a very important part of it, and it's why your mind is there. Your mind is not there to leave you into depression, to leave you into sadness, to leave you into states of doubt and fear. Your mind is there to actually help you to work on faith, to work with faith to have to bring it out. So you need that type of faith. And sometimes that type of faith, because remember, when it was talking about the faith that was the masculine one, it said, like parents nurturing you. Sometimes you have to go and do what? Let somebody help nurture you and go to them and say, help me nurture my faith. Help me to build it up. Work with that person. So that's a very important part of faith, of knowing that you got to have it where your mind is working with you. On the picture we have there, I know all of you can't see the picture, but when I was talking about this, I was thinking about, they always often talk about you have two hemispheres of your mind, and there's a right hemisphere and a left hemisphere, and for these hemispheres to actually work their best, you actually need to get both of the hemispheres working together. There's a part of the brain that they call the pons, where these two parts of your brain actually coordinate. And that's what we have to do in life. We got to coordinate this, what they call the right brain and the left brain. And it's really what they call the left brain. That's the one that calculates things. That's the one that can deal with numbers. That's the one that can help process things and work things out, is that left brain. So that left brain, it likes to have facts. It likes to have numbers. It likes to have things that are measurable in that part of your brain. And it's telling you that you have a part of your faith that is the same thing, that to be able to activate it fully, you need to have it where your mind can work on it. Because one of the worst things you can do when you run into a problem is let your mind fall into confusion. Let your mind fall into depression. Let your mind fall into doubt and fear. You are actually blocking your faith. How can your faith come forth and your mind is all fixed on the things that will bring you down? That's why even when we're having our prayers in our prayer service, we're saying, think on yourself as the light. On many of the days, in the days we've been having our prayer services, I've tried to find different ways to show you how to use your it's really your meditative powers. I know, I've been saying that that we've been using the Jewish principles of having a part of your prayer that is based on praise, a part of it that's based on petition, and a part of it is based on thanks. But one of the reasons that I like that is I think it fits well in with the way Mother taught us about meditation, the 3 levels of meditation. that the three levels of meditation, you have one part of it that you concentrate, one of it where you meditate, and the last level is called prayer. I think those three levels work well with that because when you start thinking on God's and praising God's power, you're actually concentrating. To me, you're concentrating that power. You're getting where it starts to fit together. You're using your mind, like this one says, use your mind to connect up with the things that you know have worked. And if you really think about your life, you know that certain things have done what? They have taken you through. There's certain people that you go through, certain passages you read in the Bible that you'll be able to, your ability to think on you has gotten you through so many problems in life. So you can go back and use that again to do what? To help to lift you through, to help to take you through. But it takes your mind, actually fixing your mind on the processes of that faith to be able to make it work. So that's a very important part of the thing where it says that you're able to perceive divinity in things. So you have to look at life and say, you know something, all the things that are happening to me in my life, there can be a divine action taking place. There can be a divine principle being taught to me through whatever it is. And we have to, but you have to kind of use your mind to say, yes, the things that happen to me, there's a divine purpose behind every one of them. And if it's a divine purpose behind them, then I need to use my mind to do what? To figure out that divine purpose, to see how I can use it. And yes, many times you won't get the full answer to that till later in life, and you find out to some of those things you had in life that you call troubles, some of the things you had in life that you call stumbling blocks, some of the things you had that you call failures. You look at it and say, you know something, I can look back on that and I can use that now to help me in the situation I'm in. Some of the things that you think were the greatest failures in your life actually later in life will be the thing that causes you to know what not to do in your life or causes you to know what kind of things that you have missed out on life. So even the things that we call failures, they can be great lessons if you start using that intellectual type of faith on them to actually to know that you can go through them. You're going through other things. Why can't you go through this? Because you're not applying yourself. And we need to apply ourselves to that mental part of faith that will give you, that it says it will help you to figure out things, to figure out how to get through things and awaken you. One of the things I think it really does is help to awaken you to the potentials within you. Remember, we are a part of an infinite, almighty God. So that means that we are connected to infinite possibilities. And we must never forget that you have infinite possibilities for success, infinite possibilities for victory, infinite possibilities for harmony, infinite possibilities for truth. There's always these infinite possibilities. And don't let go of your infinite possibilities. Don't let go of your God-given right to make it through circumstances. Yes, you may have to cry to get through that circumstances, but guess what? You've cried before. Don't act like you've never cried before. You've done it and you made it through. So go ahead and go get your cry over with and do what? And say, I'm still going to make it through because God still has something for me. I'm still going to continue to work with God. So let's lift up our minds and use our your intellect. Instead of using it for the things that keep holding you back in life, learn to use your intellect to do what? To help connect you to the things of God. But now we want to talk about, but then there's still that other part of faith. There's a part of faith that actually says it will actually connect you to the higher things of God, things that will help connect you to the soul and enable you to be perceived divinity in all things. And that is the other part of faith. I talked about the mind, the two parts of the mind. I talked about the left brain. Then there is the one that they call the right brain. And they say that your creativity, your ability to do art, your ability to do things, your ability to just enjoy life comes more from your right brain. Even when they're teaching you how to draw, they say learn how to draw with your right brain. And the right brain, the funny thing about it is when you're trying to learn how to draw or even play a piano and other things with your right brain, you're actually doing it with one that your bright brain just kind of like absorbs and captures the truth without you trying to figure it out. It like kind of just gives you that see the joy of a thing. Like even if you're playing a piano, you keep practicing and practicing and practicing until what? Until your right brain takes over. Until because when you're first practicing, you want to look at the keys, you want to make sure you're in your right place, you want to make sure that you're hitting the right key. But after a while, you see a person that really knows how to play the instrument. It looks like they don't look down at the keyboard anymore. When they're playing a horn, they don't even have to say, okay, to play an A, I got to have I got to have these fingers down and things like that. It becomes what? It becomes a part of inside of them. It becomes a part of their heart. And that's when they say the right brain is starting to take over. That it just kind of like you want to play the note, and so your fingers just automatically go to that position. That's when you're talking about that other part, that heartfelt joy that you can feel, that heartfelt knowledge that you have in you. And some of that heartfelt knowledge, I believe, that you have in you because of some of the other problems you went through with faith. You've gone through some things in faith, and you have to go back and call on that faith that you had before. You say, you know something? And it's crazy because what people a lot of times do is say, oh, I've been through this before. I don't want to go through it again. But I always say, if you've been through it before, you've already proved that you what? That you can succeed in it. If you go and look at that faith that you had the last time that took you through, if you look back on it, you say, you know something? Some of that worrying I was doing was totally unnecessary. I didn't see when I was going through it all the possibilities I had, all the people that would help me, all the things that would come to my support. When I went through the first time, I didn't have that. But now I have the knowledge that what? That I do have people who are for me. I do have resources that I can use. I do have things that I can do if I can just let some of this other things pass away, that I have that behind me. And that's just like that right brain, that creative brain within you that will just automatically start saying, you know, something, that's why they tell you sometime when you're depressed to do what? Get busy. Get up busy and get up and start doing some things. Because when you're getting busy, you're actually starting to use some of that old heartfelt knowledge within you. It's getting you to use some of that feelings you have within you that just does things almost like it's automatically, and do it with a grace and with it. And as you see with as you'll see with the right brain has some capabilities that are far beyond your ability to try to figure them out. It's far beyond your ability to try to make a development. They say a lot of times when you're learning how to do things in your right brain, it's like a click that happens inside of you, and you start doing it, and you say, "Wow, it seems easy now." Why? Because that right brain has clicked in there. That creative part of you has clicked in there. One of the things I was looking when I was learning how to do art, as they try to say, you even have to do exercises sometime to try to make the right brain, to activate that right brain, what they call the right brain. But what he's saying here is really connecting up with that inner wisdom within you, that inner wisdom within you that knows actually more than you know about the thing, and just will start working with you. And it's really saying in this lesson, get both of them. You have the ability to have both of these things active in your life because that's the way God has made you. That's the way God has designed you. He made those two that they can come together, as it says later in the lesson, like a marriage. So it says, when operating in faith of the heart, one derives boldness of spirit, courage, and inner assurance. So sometimes that boldness you're going to get, and part of that boldness is saying, you know something? I am going to make it through this. I'm going to connect into that heart within me, because this says it's connected to the heart, and the heart is often a center of courage. And you have to connect to your courage center sometimes to make it through things. And that will start even your other brain from starting to figure it out. You say, oh, they're going to go through this thing with courage, then that means I got to start doing something. But you have to go in and feel that spirit within you, feel that boldness within you, feel that inner assurance that God is going to take you through. So it says, faith of the heart, it will arise compassion. It will perform, it will produce, it will promote firmness and provoke firmness, make you resolute, give you peace, and foster love. Don't forget about love in your life. Know that you are loved by many and that you love others and that you want to use that love so that it helps to grow, that helps to cultivate and be a part of the lives around you. Don't neglect that love by not letting that heart part of your brain activate. Um, I know sometimes our heart gets crushed, but look a little deeper and know that that love that's in you is something that lasts. The love in you doesn't get crushed. The love in you just gets disappointed. And don't let the disappointment you have in your love actually leaves you to crush yourself. Get, just recognize, remember when we were reading Mother's message last week, it says, face the facts. When we face the facts, we'll find out that some of the people we work with in life that what? They're not ready yet. They're not up to it yet. So let's just face the facts that they're not ready for what you thought they were ready for and try to move on until they get ready. The best you can do for them is to pray for them, but make sure you also pray for yourself that you can find that inner courage. You can find that inner boldness to say, you know something, I am going to make it in life. This is, I think we read that. Faith in the heart arouses from compassion, promotes firmness, makes one resolute, gives peace, and forces truth. But then it said, because it says, both aspects of faith give birth to your decrees, your affirmation, and your prayers. So when it says, when both of them are working together, that's when you can start decreeing things. Because remember, I said the right brain or that faith that comes from the heart. A lot of times it doesn't have words. It doesn't have images to go with it. And so what it needs or gets those images from what? The other part of the brain, the left brain. It needs those type of things. So when you start actually making these affirmations, because that heartfelt faith that you don't can have no words with it. You can just start shouting. But then when you start connecting up with that other part of the brain, it can become your affirmation. It can become something that is something that you decree. That takes some left brain to it. That takes some of that figuring out brain to it. That is why, but when they work together, when you can get that heart-filled part of you working with that intellectual part of them, they start working, they'll give you an affirmation, and that affirmation can help lift you up. That affirmation can start taking you through because why? You're starting those two faiths to work together. So it says both aspects of faith give birth to your decrees, affirmation, and prayers. Both aspects of faith require work. That means neither one of them is there for you to be lazy and just kind of like waddle in them. Both of them require you to do what? I'm going to work on this. I'm going to work on my life. I'm going to work on the circumstances, and I'm going to work where it does the best. You know, one of the things says, do good unto all others with all that wisdom and strength. That means that where you can do some good, find that place and do that good there. If places where you can't do good, sometimes you just have to lead them along and do what? Find out where you can do the good, where you can do the most good in your life, and apply yourself to those acts where you can do the most good. But that's what it says. When you get these two working together, when you get that inner uh, 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 unction within you that moves you in faith, and you connect it up with that part of you that can make decrees and figure things out and work them out. When you get them working together, it says go and work with it. Action added to it. And what this is really saying is many times you have to add some actions what you're doing. Don't say I'm gonna have a faith and I'm gonna just sit down and do what? And be faithful. No. Faithful helps you to get up and do what? I'm gonna work at it. I'm gonna do something about it. I'm not gonna just sit there and sit down and have self-pity. Because another thing it talks about from our message from Mother is don't let self-pity overthrow you. That's what the message we got from Mother. Again, I'm going to say it. Don't let self pity overthrow you. You have the powers of God within you. You don't have to pity yourself. You just need to recognize that you are a child of God and you can get blessings from God, but you got to work on it. Because it says, without work, faith is dead. Do you want to be dead? You shouldn't, because there's so much love and truth and possibilities in you. Why die when you have infinite possibilities? I think Teresa wanted to say something. Wait, let me turn my mic off. Teresa wants to speak. I'm turning.
A thought just came to me that faith is like a seed and it's got to be nurtured, got to be watered, and in order for it to grow. So you can't just let it, the seed just sit. All of us have some form of faith seed within us, but it's not being watered. It's not being nurtured. And the only way you do that is through work. You got to work on yourself. You got to work on things. Work on it. And that's the way to help it grow and take root within you.
You for sharing those thoughts with us. And if you have some thoughts, sometimes you have to interrupt me because I'll start talking and go. So we love you to be able to express yourself. But it's right that without work, your faith is dead. That means if you're not actively involving yourself on what you have faith in, it will leave you into a rut, and you don't want to be in a rut. A rut is why stay in a rut when you have God has given you all of these possibilities, when God has given you that so many things you can do wherever you are in life. There's so much that you can still be a part of. Get active. Don't just let it say, "Oh, I just, I want to just sit around and wait to see what's going to happen." You don't have to wait and see. You can be a part of the love. You can be a part of spreading peace. You can be a part of spreading joy. You can be a part of uplifting wherever you are in life. So we don't want a dead faith. We want that faith so we can see it. As Teresa was saying, see that faith as a seed. And even in our meditation, because remember, our meditation talked about that seed faith. And that seed of faith can grow into a whole garden. And that's how you want to see your life, that you're going to let your faith do what? Grow into a garden where it would have flowers, where it would have would have fruit, or whatever you want in your garden, vegetables. All these things can grow from what your faith by working on it. I think Teresa wants to say something else. I'm going to click off again.
Faith in when you said about the garden, the thought came to me, if you have the faith of a mustard seed, it can move mountains. And I thought about that one time. Um, I don't know whether I looked it up or whether somebody told me, but they say that if you have a mustard seed, it's a little small seed. But if you put this seed in the garden, it will take over your whole garden. And that's how you want your faith to grow, that it takes over your whole being. That's it.
For sharing that, because that is a thought that we'd have, because that's what Jesus says, the faith the size of the mustard seed, and that it can some plants that would grow, that when they start growing in the garden, they will take over the garden. And you want your faith to be that type of thing in your life, that it might small off, that seem to start off as something small, something little, but know that it can grow and grow and grow and grow around you, so you have this whole garden based on your faith. Anyone else like to have any comments? But I think this is beautiful. Thank Deacon Jackson.
Yes, I was just what a wonderful lesson. It's an awesome and amazing thing, the things that God have done for us, and continue to do for us. That's why I thank God that part of my petition be that God continue to show me and help me grow in my prayers, because prayers is a weapon. Prayer is something that will connive with with the faith. It comes together. It works with one another. It continues to lift you up, to inspire you, You know, the more you pray, the stronger you begin to feel, and you begin to feel your faith is growing stronger. You know, it's like being like a plant being planted by the rivers of Jordan. You know, just the rivers just flowing. You know, it's like that Holy Spirit that God gave us. You know, we as a baby we were small, but we continue to grow, and that spirit continues to grow. It continues to get powerful. You know, but you have to know and realize who you are and who you belong to. And once you continue to connect to these things, you know, yeah, we go through trials and tribulations, and sometimes we all fall, but we get back up. See, the word says it's not how many times a person falls, it's how many times you get up and brush yourself off. And you know that God is with you. He said he'll never leave or forsake you. So I just thank God for this lesson. I thank God that we have to know that it's okay to give ourselves good accolades. You know, it's good to get up and say that I am strong, I am mighty, I'm a good person, and everybody around me likes me. You know, you have to, like Paul said, sometimes you got to encourage yourself. You have to encourage, you have to know how to encourage yourself. And doesn't worry about what it looked like, doesn't worry about what it tastes or smells like. Just know that God said the world can be against you because I'm with you. If I'm with you, the world can be against you. So it doesn't matter about certain things that we go through, because at the end of the day, we know that we continue to praise God. And you know, I just spoke to you this morning. I was expressing myself that you know, you're doing such a great, wonderful job, and it just feel, you can feel the energy, you know. And what did I say to you? It feel like that I want to run on and tell everybody, but I say, Father, it feel like yet you can do this the rest of the year, you know, because it's so inspiring, it's so encouraging, you know. And we, it's like Mother Teresa was saying, that seed, that mustard seed, the substance of things hoped for, and the evidence not seen, you know. And I have cried. I cried since we've been doing this, and it not only does it feel good, I'm gonna cry some more. You know, sometimes even though we can love to pray in silence, but sometimes it's good to pray out loud. Just to encourage yourself, not for nobody else, to encourage yourself, because you get put inside this bubble that you don't even realize who around. You don't even realize who listening. You really, it doesn't bother you because you feel so strong. You feel that energy. You feel like, okay, I can see that light now, become that light. Because I have got up to seek God's kingdom. I have got up to seek his face. And he said, if you seek me, you shall find. If you find me, you shall knock. And if you knock, the door will be open. So I just thank God for the lesson. Thank God for you all. Shalom, shalom, shalom.
Shalom, shalom. Thank you so much. And I'm not going to say I'm going to do it every day, but I think we do need to have more prayer services. If we do that, and the virtual ones makes it kind of easier to do it. All of them won't be in the morning, but I think we do need to have more prayer services where you just get actively involved. And because remember, when I'm going from Mother, prayer is a meditation. And there are different, if you've been working with you, kind of notice that I've done different type of meditation techniques as we've been doing these prayers. That first day, we did what I call like a swaying meditation, which is one form of meditation that you can use. I think and I've forgotten all of them now, but there were days when we were just looking at the light. I know it was one day that we thought about just that light and that light moving through you. We've talked about, had one where we were looking more of like a sound, recognizing a sound moving through you. We did the one today, this morning, where we're looking at seeing yourself as a spear, even seeing God as this spear, and seeing you being a spear that's just like it. Not the saying that totally explains what God is, but it gives you the possibility of saying how you are the image of God. not your physical body. You know, a lot of people, when they say I'm the image of God, they try to say, oh, my physical body looks like God. But it's our consciousness that looks like God. And one of the ways of seeing our consciousness as a perfect consciousness is a circle. That's what the old people, the old wisdom was when they were looking at a circle. Even when they draw the sun as a circle with a dot in it, that was actually a lesson telling us that that circle is considered to be perfect because it's like it has no beginning, it's no end. That's what the circle is trying to tell you, that we're talking about something that has infinite possibilities or infinite points. When they talk in mathematics about a circle, it's like an infinite array of points around that circle. So that circle helps us to think about infinity and knowing that God is an infinite God, that God is, he's all the past, he's all the present, he's all the future in God. And we can use a circle to imagine that. But then what about that dot in the circle? You become just like the big circle, but you become what? A small dot within it. So there were different forms of prayers that we've been, or meditations that we're using as part of these prayers of feeling that vibration, feeling it like a sound that was going through you, see it as a light that was going through you, see it as it making your body to sway. Seeing it one day, we looked at just the hands, seeing it in develop and move through us through our hands being like both an antenna and a projection instrument. All of these things are when you start to use your, like it says in here, using those both sides of the faith. You're using them both sides. You're using both your intellect and the feelings you have and the feelings in your heart to connect them together to create these prayers and these decrees and affirmation. So that's kind of the practice I've been doing with it. And you're right, we probably need to do it more often. Sometimes when we have services where we can't come up here, especially some of the programs we have, and sometimes we even may do it more as a program, but all to try to get us to know to use our power of prayer and faith and meditation to keep us focused on life. Anyone else have any comments or questions? And just remember, tomorrow morning will be the last of those 7 sunrise services that we're having. So again, and it's on the same channel you're on now, but tomorrow at 6 a.m., we'll be online with our prayer service to end we've done it for 7 days as a celebration of this building that I'm in now, the temple's anniversary and Mother's birthday. And on Tuesday, so that's Monday, prayer service, sunrise prayer service. But I also want to recognize Pastor Mal's birthday on November the 28th. It will not be, again, I'm going to say this, it will not be a sunrise service. It'll be an evening service at 7 o'clock where we look at some of the things that Master Mal taught us, how Master Mal was influenced, and some of the things, what were some of his favorite prayers, or some of his favorite meditations. We'll look at that on Tuesday night at 7 o'clock. Tuesday night at 7. Tomorrow, early morning service, 6 a.m. We finish before sunrise. I think tomorrow's sunrise will be at 6:48. So we'll start at 6 o'clock. We'll finish about 6:48. But then, and the one we have for Master Mal is not going to be a long service. We still want to try to keep it short, but that will be on Tuesday at 7 o'clock. And I'm glad that others got as much out of these prayer services as I have to show us that we can come together. When you come together, and I know sometimes on the online, you can't hear the other people praying. You can't, you don't see them because most people don't come in on the line. They don't come in the computer, so you don't get to see them. But you can still feel them. You can feel that while I'm doing the section on praise, or when I'm doing this section on petition, or I'm doing this section on thanks, that there are other people out there that you are praising God, that you're also petitioning God, that you are thanking God with them. And it's a beautiful feeling. Anyone else like to have something to say? So thank you, Deacon Jackson, for those words of encouragement and for reminding us that we need to do more of those. Thank you so much.
Shalom. I was just going to say,
Mhm.
that the prayers are so powerful and they so strong, and I just want to take my hat off to thank God that we had this service. And on Friday, December the 1st, it's my mom's birthday, St. Elizabeth's birthday, and I always get up and praise and pray and thank God for her, because I know back in the day it wasn't easy, and I can truly say I can remember a lot of times my mom took us when she was going to Supreme Mother House, and you can just feel the joyful, and I remember so many things and so many people, so many different faces. I started praying her, then Father Lewis came to me. He used to sing that song on the wing of a snow white dove. And you're surprised of the things that you still remember from Spiritual Guidance Temple of Truth. And I just thank God. And yes, my mom's birthday is Friday, December the 1st, and I wish there was some way that we can give you applause, because you did such a great job, such an awesome job this week with what God have allowed you to do, and it's been very, very educating and very nurturing to my spirit, and I know so many other spirits with your prayer. They are truly felt, and like I was telling you this morning, they are so powerful that I don't think it's been a day this morning that I haven't been able to go back to sleep and have a peace. And prayer changes things. And I also like to thank Mother Loretta. When people see you out appellate to see out these prayers, it does so much for your life. It does so much for your way of thinking. And just to get one, and you read, you start smiling. It's like you come alive. You start feeling like, okay, yeah, I am more than a conqueror. I can do this. I can do this. And that's what we need, iron sharpen iron. So I thank each and every last one of you. I love you all. God bless. Thank you.
Well, thank you. And like I said, we'll have some more prayer services where we get together and just and use some of the things that we've learned, use some of the knowledge. Because as I say, with some of the prayers, I've been using some of the things that from our Supreme Father's book on the attributes that you should be thinking on. I know I've been even the 7 days that we're using. Remember when we were going through the 10 days, our Supreme Father told us that on each one of the days of the week, you could use that principle or that color of that principle. I know some people just heard the color, but some people you to wear the color that goes with that. But you can also use that principle on that day. That will only give you 7 principles. It's true. But the other principles can be used on like holy days that you can also bring out the other 3 principles that are part of those 10. But we have been working with those principles, many of the statements and some of the things you may not know it, but sometimes when I'm praying for things or when I am petitioning things, I'm actually using some of the words that he talks about in each one of those principles. And when I say some of the things talked about, he has a book called The Secrets of the 10 Commandments. We have some copies of the book now. It's a we have the hardback copy of The Secret of the 10 Commandments is $25. But what's in that book is it has a chapter that is an introduction to all of them, and then it goes through each one of the 10 commandments. And it's not just the 10 commandments, but it's it breaks down the Lord's Prayer into 10 principles. It breaks down all of them. Like the first principle is our Father, and he just compares that to the first commandment. So as he goes through them, he's breaking it down. And I say that because at the beginning of the book, in an introductory section, he has a section where he shows you the 10 commandments as he breaks them down, and he shows you the 10 breaks down the 10 parts of the Lord's Prayer. And then he goes through a chart And in that chart, he talks about these 10 prevailing principles. And in the 10 prevailing principles, he will give you a brief description of the principle. And then he will go into a longer narrative of it. And this isn't just in chapter 1. This is not going through the other chapters, because each chapter is like a long explanation of it. But in the front of it, just in that first chapter, he gives you a breakdown of the prevailing principles, and then repeats each one of the prevailing principles at the time. Reason I go through that is because sometimes, and you want to see what you need to be working with in your life, you can just look at how he breaks down, even if you just look at how he breaks down the Lord's Prayer. And when you say the Lord's Prayer, sometimes you'll say a certain part of it, and it will give you a feeling. It'll give you, it'll just be so much more inspiring to you than the other parts that you're saying. Well, you can use that as a way of saying, you know something? Because I'm getting an inspiration out of that section of the Lord's Prayer, let me go to that section of the 10 Commandments and read some more to get inspired. Or, and even when he has the chart that talks about the 10 prevailing principles, you can just read over, and you can just read over the first section. Part of it is in bold. There's a part that's in bold, and there's a part that's further explanation. Just read through them and see which one touches your heart more, which one kind of inspires you more at that particular time in your life. Because you will find that sometimes it will be different parts of it. And when you find that that part is inspirational, more inspirational to you, you can either read the brief explanation that it gives for you, or you can go to the chapter that deals with that. So you can use it, it's just not like a book that you can take and say, oh, I got to take it and I got to read it from cover to cover, which I recommend you do. But sometimes you can just use it as a what? As an inspiration on how you want to work with something by knowing what the commandments are and getting a brief idea of what he means by the commandments, because he gives like a spiritual understanding, a spiritual definition of the commandments. So it's not just thou shalt not kill, but thou shalt not kill actually means that you don't want to destroy another person, and you don't have to actually shoot them and have blood coming out of them to actually do the same thing you've done if you murdered the person. So it's beautiful to have those things to work with. And there are some of the things that I was working with in coming up with the prayers that we have. Did anyone else like to have any thoughts or like to share anything with us? If not, I'm gonna try to finish up because I know I want to be, I think the Divine Life Temple started their service at 11:30. So I'm going to read through some of this quickly and not talk too much about it, so people can get ready for that service because I think we have some people who are with Divine Life with us, and you might want to get off to that service. So in the end of this, I think I left at the part that says, you will become a conduit for the higher, it says, both aspects of the must be conjoined to bring forth results. So that's saying there's both aspects of faith, that masculine faith and that feminine faith. That one comes from your intellect and that one that comes from your heart need to be conjoined together. And when you do that, you become a conduit. That means that you become a vessel. You become a conductor. You become a channel for that faith, that higher wisdom coming to you. So you look at your life and say, I want to be that kind of conduit. I want to be that type of being that energy, that love, that understanding, that wisdom starts moving through me. Because remember, a conduit is something that it conducts it. And you want to become a conductor of that energy. You want to become a part of actually bringing, because when it's saying conducting it, it means you become a part of bringing it into manifestation in the physical plane. So you want to be that conduit for the higher wisdom and compassion to manifest in the earthly realm by applying both aspects of faith. Faith is divine knowledge and spiritual intuition. So it's saying it works together. Knowledge and intuition working together to bring forth blessings in your life. and that giving certainty to your mind and heart. So it's saying as you work with that faith, it's going to actually have your mind is going to become calmer and better, and you actually be able to feel it in your heart. Remember, one of the sections we talked about the heart as being that rhythm. When we're talking about the sound, we talked about how you use your heart to feel that rhythm, and that rhythm impressing your whole body. That you do want your heart to be what? A part of connecting up with your intellect so that it can awaken you. And it says the two aspects of faith are like a holy marriage that brings forth numerous offsprings. Even when we're talking about that garden, some of the offsprings you have are not just physical offsprings. There are blessings that you create that become offsprings. They become like angels. They become like entities. They become part of the air spirits that go around and help mankind. And you want to create those offspring. It is likened to the tree of life rooted in the rich soil of heaven that bring forth 12 manner of fruits in its season. And you'll be bringing them forth right. When you're working, the way we work with the principles, you bring forth the ones that is a season for them. You work with them in season, because when something is in season, it actually produces more than when it's not in season. So have complete faith of the mind, knowledge based on truth, and have faith in the heart. So it's saying to have both of them, that you have to have your mind with the things that you know activated, and you also have to have a faith that includes love, compassion, and empathy with divinity and individuals. So that is our message for today. It also tells us to read the 27th chapter of Psalms, to burn purple candles for this month. So does anyone else have any comments? And I just want to remind us again that we'll have the last of our sunrise services tomorrow, November 24th. We'll be looking at the principle of the foundation of peace. The scripture that we'll be working with is the 14th chapter of the 89th Psalm that says, righteousness and justice are the foundation of your throne. Love and faithfulness go before you. So that will be our service tomorrow at sunrise. We will also have a service on the 24th, on the 28th, in honor of Master Malvin. And we will look at some of his prayers and some of the wisdom that he bestowed upon us. Just to look at our other things, we have Master Malvin on the 28th. Our consecration will be on December the 17th. And our Christmas bath will be more closer to Christmas time. We'll be having on the 21st, the 23rd, and the 24th. Usually at the Christmas time, we have two choices where we can work with December the 21st, or we can work with Christmas on December the 20th, leading up to Christmas with Christmas Eve. And this year we're going to be using that 22nd, 23rd, and 24th, since you're going to have a consecration on the 17th. We don't want to start on the 19th. We just took up a collection here, and thank you for all those who donate to us in the many different ways that you donate to us, through our Cash App, through Zelle, through our website. Thank you so much for your support. It's a great help to us. And now, does anyone else, I still said I wanted to be able to get out so that anyone who wants to join in with our with the Divine Life Temple, that you will be able to make it to that service. It's on the same site, but you have to use a different meeting code. And if I remember the code off the top of my head, his code, it's funny, I remember his code and don't remember mine, but his code is 1262821774, and you'll be able to join Divine Life Temple at 11:30. So anyone else have any comments before we close out? Someone asked me about when I said consecration was, and I said consecration will be on December the 17th. Okay. So thank you for being with us. I hope you can be with us tomorrow and Tuesday. It's been a joy to participate in this prayer service for the last the 6 days now, and tomorrow will be the 7th. But it's been a blessing to me. I hope it has been a blessing to others. But now in closing, let me say, may the love of God illuminate your way. May the will of God direct you each day. May the truth of God all errors depart, and may the peace of God forever dwell in your heart. Amen, amen, amen.